Yes, I signed my soul on the dotted line. Back to Dad. All right. Well, Dad has no back to get to, so those are my kids. And that was their part of the show. That was them.
Kids are great.
Yes, well, they're very interested in the idea of each of them had their own show, as you know. My son with his Magic with Ben, and my son, Yo Read This, where he wants to talk to an author. And I believe you are an author, which I thought he was going to ask you about as that guy. Did you not want to ask him about being an author?
I do want to.
Pardon?
I do want to ask him about it.
Well, then ask him. I thought that was one of your questions. But you said you didn't have to write anything down because your brain was like a bear trap.
No, I'm going to do that on my show. Ask him questions.
Oh, smart.
All right, he wants to have you back, it sounds. This was not his show. This is live from our bedroom, or my bedroom, but I guess it turned into our bedroom while we're here for the hour.
Just to clarify for those listening, when he says we're filming from his bedroom, I am not in his bedroom right now.
No,
but
it's
he did ask me to come over.
We could. No, you could have. I would say that out of the just under 50 chats that we've had, one person came to be in my bedroom.
Who was that?
Mark Trinidad.
Mark Trinidad.
Motivational speaking, comedian, acting, promotional of the positive thinking. He's also listed in this season. He's topped at the beginning. If you have 3 minutes, you should listen to his clip. His clip is interesting, and if you think he's more than interesting, he also has an idea for how people should all have access to legal law minds. And so there's a thing that he's working on to make sure that everyone has accessibility to a legal mind.
Oh, that's great.
You, on the other hand, want everyone to have accessibility to a magical mind. You can't seem to stop since 2013. You've, if I was your dad, I would say you've fallen off a train. But your last name being Train doesn't really work all that well. But what I do want to say is that I really need you to tell me, Professor, is there not a professor of education that you could have taken your magic to that level of PhD-dom?
Absolutely. And I come from a family of academics. My father taught at university. My aunt is the Dean of Arts at York University. And my mom's a teacher. Everybody's a teacher in my family. I just realized, like you said, around 2013 was when I realized that I had enough money coming in from magic, and it was providing me the opportunities I wanted to travel and to meet the people I wanted and to do the things I wanted, that it seemed silly not to give it a chance. And it was best sort of articulated in my thoughts by Jim Carrey in his commencement talk, I think last year, when he said that he talked about his father, and he said one of the lessons his father taught him, his father worked, he was very funny, but he decided not to be a comedian. And he got a job in a stable industry, I think like accounting. And he worked for 12 years and then was let go. And Jim Carrey said, what my father taught me that day was it's possible to fail at the things you don't like to do. So why not take a chance on the things you do? And I thought, man, I love magic. If the opportunities are here, they may never come again. I may say, not right now, wait 10 years, and 10 years from now, they don't come back. So I said, as long as the opportunities are here, I will keep working and trying. And so far, zero regrets.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that. I really, really am. So from that, you are now, like my son, I want to steal his thunder. You're an author. You wrote also a screenplay, so you're a screenwriter as well. So you have a list of things. And is that all coming through your own personal, or is this going through a production company of sorts?
So the movie story is very interesting. For many years, I like to think of myself, I love basketball, so I'd like to think of myself as sort of like a point guard.
I'm sorry. You're actually talking probably to the only household
who doesn't know basketball.
No, doesn't understand sports as a thing. I'm a big fan of. Go ahead. So there's 5 guys on the court. 2 are at the back. 3 are at the front. There's a guy in the middle who I believe is called a center, and usually the tallest. And then you have a
point guard. So the point guard's job is to basically set up all the other players to help them be better. They help them score. They help them do things. And whether I am this or I just want to be this, I love helping people and facilitating projects and I wanted to do for many years a project that would showcase magic in Toronto, because I think Toronto, I've traveled all over the world, and I think Toronto has one of the biggest, one of the best magic communities on the planet. And I wanted to, and I think that's clear to see. We have something like 5 shows every week, magic shows going on. We have magic clubs. We have so much. We have so much cool stuff going on, so I wanted to do a project with Toronto magicians. My friend Chris Mayhew, who, if he hasn't been on your show, should. He's awesome. He said, look, I'm working on a movie. And I said, well, I'm working on this project to showcase magic in Toronto. What if we combine forces? So Chris actually wrote 99.9% of that script. And that last 0.1%, I helped, and so did a bunch of other people. So that was mostly Chris who wrote that.
Okay, for screenplay, but what about the author for Tricks and How-To-Dos? Right? That's the book? There's a book of magic, how to do magic?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The book that I wrote is called Anteater Consortium. And it's all about, which is a weird title, it's all about card tricks and stuff. I've written a few things. I've been in magazines and a few other things. Yeah, it was just a project. The movie was just a project, showcase Toronto magic and do something different and fun. And so instead of you sitting at home watching a magic video, bored out of your mind learning tricks, this is the movie we did called A Series of Unfortunate Effects.
Hold on, what did you just do? You just changed your audio.
I did. Sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
just
for the better.
Oh, is that better?
Whatever. You need to be talking through your cat. That's what you've been doing wrong. Oh. You need to be talking with your mouth attached to the cat. It's a better sound. You attached to your cat. Delicious.
So I have a friend staying over right now, and they have a dog with them. So my cat is getting used to having a dog in the house with him.
And your cat now sounds like a bird. You are magic.
I don't mess around.
I hear birds now. Do you have birds in your act? Is that part of your basketball yoga?
Oh my God, no birds. The birds are gone now, though. Birds are gone. No birds.
No bird.
I try to avoid doing too much magic with animals simply because it's so hard to travel with animals. You know, like.
I got kids. You're telling me. All right.
Yeah, I don't have kids either. Ooh.
Okay.
That probably changed the audio.
No, it sounds good again. I don't know what you're doing over there, but keep throwing the cat at the computer. It's making it better and better and better. So just keep throwing the cat at the computer. I have 3 cats ourselves. We had 2, but magically the kids wanted to turn the 2 cats into 3 by just stretching them. And so I gave the third a tennis racket. They didn't get the joke, so we got a 3rd cat. We have 3 cats. So how many cats do you have?
I have 1 cat, and his name is Margaret Catwood.
And why wouldn't it be Margaret Catwood?
That's what I think.
So you of course you like books and cross-dressing cats.
I like cross-dressing cats and books,
right? And
cross-dressing as a cat.
There you go. That's a furry. Everyone likes a furry. At some point you got to juggle at Wonderland, and that's a way to get out of that one. So you mentioned to me a bunch of stuff. I
worked at Wonderland. I have good stories about Wonderland.
That's what I just said. I really did throw that at you. I think David Mary in his chat said that he opened up Wonderland with Jay Sankey.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, well, that's part of the cast. Yeah, so there's reasons why I'm having the conversation anyway, and it really is a chat. This isn't an interview, so if there's anything that you would like me to know, I'm not going to be digging deep and getting to it. If there's something that I should have known, like, yeah, today's my birthday, and yeah, I just had that television show on last night, and no. You might want to tell me.
I'll tell you a crazy story. I worked at Canada's Wonderland. It was my first professional magic gig, and I was 16 years old, and I was so nervous performing, and I was working behind a booth selling magic, and I'd see a lot of people over the course of the day, and one particular day, and I have a ton of stories. Jeff Pinsky, who owns the Browser's Den and who hired me, will tell you a million. But I was so nervous performing for some guys one time, I fainted right in front of them. I thought, it was kind of crazy. So I ended up having to be dragged back to a medical room in the middle of the show. Partly because of the heat, partly because of nerves. And that was one of my first magic shows. And I don't know too many people who have fainted during one of their first magic shows. So.
I know a guy who pooped his pants. We talked to him. Matt
Is it Ray Anderson?
No, who?
Just joking. I probably shouldn't have said that.
I don't even know who that is. But
Edit.
No, we'll keep it in there. I'm gonna go with who did you say? With the guy from Night Court? No,
he was this performer told me that he went on stage, and before the show they had given him some very expensive red wine, and he said apparently he was on a cruise ship.
No, hold on, that's the story. It's the same story with good red wine, but it's Matt DeSaro.
Oh, I heard Ray.
I like that. I would go with Anderson. I'm just gonna go with
yeah. He on the stage, he crapped his pants and did not know what to do, so he ran off stage through the audience, leaving a trail behind him, and then hid in the washroom until the cruise ship docked.
No, I'm pretty sure he did his 20. So
yeah, he did a 20 in his pants.
Yeah,
what happened?
Oh no, he did a 2 in his pants. He did a deuce in his pants and 20 on stage.
20 is when you do it 10 times.
Yeah, 20 times 2, my lord. But yes, good for you. So thank you for telling us the story. We like Wonderland, and when I used to go, my parents used to use it as a babysitter and just drop me off. The Magic's place was a place I loved to hang out. I would believe every day I would spend $2 to $5, which you could at the Magic Store, and get a buzzer or a fake cigarette or whatever you'd have, a deck of cards, anything. I like that store. It's gone. It's not there anymore at the Wonderland. It's no longer Canadian, so it's
and it's a shame because when I started working there, I was 16 and I'd been doing magic a few years by that point, and I thought, as a kid, I thought, oh, we're selling these crappy little tricks. No one will like these tricks because I was so jaded. You're a teenager. You think you know everything,
right? And
it was such an eye-opening experience doing these crappy tricks for people and seeing how they responded. And then you realize by the end of this, these are not bad tricks. These are great tricks. And you can make anything good or bad if, you bring an honesty to it and a genuineness to it and a willingness to share it. And so it was a very valuable lesson for me because I learned, very quickly how you have to perform and how to connect with people while you're there.
Okay.
Though I believe, hold the record for being the worst demonstrator he has ever had. I made negative money for him while I was there, but 16 years old, I've learned a lot in the 14 years since.
Right, first professional out there. But now so you said I want to be a professor. Then you said I'm not going to be a professor. I'm going to go back to that magic thing. So that was full circle back to what you really wanted to do, like a train in a loop in the train yard. I do like the people who are motivating you, though. I mean, the people who definitely put you on a way. Now, Ricky Jay, he's the big guy with the beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy, I can't even, when I'm online at the bank, when I have a credit card in my hand, I can't help myself. I'm constantly always flipping a card now. After I saw him do it over the heads of a full audience, about maybe 4,000 people, the thing just went up and around all the way and back to his hand. And I went, that really happened. That wasn't
No, it's for real. And if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know who Ricky Jay is, do me a favor.
Right.
Pause this podcast for 2 seconds.
Right.
And look up a picture of Ricky Jay, because I'll give you a second. Okay, welcome back. Because now that you know what he looks like, he's an older, heavy-set gentleman. He also does a thing where he holds 3 playing cards. He throws them in the air. They go flying through the air about 40 feet. They curl like a boomerang in midair. He drops to his knees. He catches one in each hand and one in his mouth. He's such a cool, and everything he does, I have every book he's ever put out that I'm aware of.
Right.
I try to get every article he puts out. He is such an interesting guy, and he is interested in the most interesting people, like people who walk into open fires or ovens holding meat, and they come out and the meat is cooked but they're not, or pigs that can learn math, or all sorts of weird, interesting things. So I love reading Ricky Jay, because to me, magic is about sharing something interesting. And to share something interesting, you have to have something interesting to talk about. And so Ricky Jay gives me tons of fodder to just go through and go, well, that is so cool, I want to do that. Or I want to talk about that, or I want to use this in some way to make something interesting for other people.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
he
Ricky
does
Jay.
that. No, he definitely does that. He's the guy that does that over and over again. For is he still performing, or is he more of an author now? I mean, I used to do the talk show circuit. I saw him doing stuff when I was a growing up. I don't know, and now all I've seen is several documentaries about the gentleman. What's he doing now?
I'm not 100% sure. I know he is consulting along with Michael Weber. They have a company called
Oh, it
Ultimate.
is Weber, not Weber. Because
It is Weber,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
And Weber is also one of those guys who is like, he is a genius within the magic world, but if he had chosen to do something else, he would have been a genius in that field. And he is a genius in a bunch of different fields. And I don't use the term genius lightly. I think he's widely acknowledged to be one of the most brilliant thinkers in our field. And him and Ricky Jay have a partnership where they consult for films. Things like, let me think, The Prestige and The Illusionist and stuff like that.
Those are great movies. If you haven't seen those movies, those things are wow.
Fantastic. Both absolutely brilliant, wonderful movies.
Yeah, they really brought it over. So you created your own trick. So is that a thing? Like like a comedian writing a joke? Like you write backwards. First you get the trick, and then you tell a joke that makes the trick even funnier, or is you have a joke?
There's no rules with creating magic. So sometimes it could be I have the end of a trick, and I think something like, I want someone's signed bill to appear in a lemon, and I know that's where I want to go, and I come up with a trick. But other times it could be something as incongruous as an opening line I heard. Like, I'm working on a trick right now, and the basic opening premise, we call it a hook. The thing that draws you in and interests you is, you've heard the expression, "Don't try this at home," and everyone says yes, and you say, well, we're not at home, and then you dump out a whole bunch of matchbooks and lighter fluid, and then you say, is anybody here wearing hair product? And that in itself, there's no trick that's happened yet, but I love the idea of setting up this potentially interesting or funny or dangerous moment, dumping matchboxes onto a table, and I start thinking, okay, well, what's going to happen next? Where do we go from there? So sometimes I start at the end and work backwards. Sometimes I start at the beginning. Sometimes I start at the middle. Sometimes I could be just walking in the street and I see something that makes me smile, or here's something weird to show you how weird my brain is. I was in the washroom at a urinal, and it was a Delta urinal, and the light was hitting the Delta logo, and it was reflecting it on the wall. And because the logo was being reflected on the wall, it was reversed, so you were seeing it sort of backwards, like in a mirror, except the letter E. The letter E was not backwards. Every other letter had been reversed except the letter E. And I honestly spent about 5 minutes going, how is that possible? And I won't tell you how it's possible. I did figure it out. But something about it allowed one letter to turn. And I see that and I go, that is a trick. I don't know what yet, but I read it in my notebook, and maybe 5 years from now, that'll be a trick. And it might have nothing to do with urinals. It might have nothing to do with the word Delta. It might not even have anything to do with a word being reflected or inverted. But it might lead to something, and that's it. That's the process.
All right, hold on. So now you just wrote it down in a book. Now, so is your motivation? See, because now that you just gave me that, I'm not too sure what is the motivation to entertain, or is the motivation to bedazzle?
I think I am not an entertainer. I am also not a trickster. I'm not a puzzler. I am a magician, and I think the two cannot be separated. And I have people, this is a common thing in magic. People debate what's more important, being a good entertainer, making them laugh, being exciting, or doing strong, powerful magic. And I think it's like asking what's more important, quality ingredients in food or the amount of ingredients.
No, so you could take some things that taste tasty, put them in a bowl, and make poop. I've seen it happen.
Exactly.
So I'd rather just eat the apple. Can you take it? I like the caramel. I like cumin. Let's just not bring the cumin into the apple and the caramel.
And it's possible to bring them together, but you have to bring in the right amount.
Maybe.
And in magic.
Maybe. I just want my caramel apple and keep your cumin to yourself. But I see what you're saying. You have a creative brain that's willing to take that next step, which is great. But now, because of you just showed me a little inner workings of you, which we've really never talked about, it's more of it sounds like the close-up nature, because like a Doug Henning, who I grew up with, he sold his tricks when he got sick, I believe, to David Copperfield, is where how David Copperfield is even David Copperfield. I mean, that's why he is who he is, because of Doug Henning, who Canadianly ran for government here, and he's no longer with us, but he's big stage. So are you the close-up street guy versus the Doug Henning or the Copperfields, the big stages?
I'm definitely neither of those two guys. Both of them, and I don't mean that in a bad way, if someone wants to give me $1 billion, I will happily be David Copperfield.
No. David Copperfield and Doug Henning are the same people, and then you have the street performers / close-up magician.
You're talking about the stage,
the big stage with this big illusion versus the close-up street magic with a bunch of matches on your table. Do you guys have any hairspray? Which isn't funny from the stage.
Tell you, one of the most magical shows I've ever seen was not a magician. It was Billy Crystal, and he did a show. I believe it's either 500 or 700 Sundays with my father, where he talks about before his father's passing, the time he spent with him. And it blew my mind, that show, because I was in a room with thousands of people. And Billy Crystal, I thought at the time that I wanted a show where I could be very intimate with my audience and I could connect with my audience. And I felt close up, which is what it sounds like, literally being close up, sitting with your audience of a group of 5 or 10 people, and I could talk and interact with each one. And I wanted that intimacy. But then I saw Billy Crystal on stage for thousands of people, and I was in the back of the room. And I have to be honest, even to this day, I honestly felt like Billy Crystal was talking right to me. And I realized at that point, well, I may not be there yet. It is possible for a good performer to be extremely open and intimate with a massive audience. And I think if I had to choose between close-up and stage, right now in my career, it's a no-brainer. Stage.
And that stage is magictonight.ca this weekend. And I know right. I've seen you
tonight. Actually, tonight I am hosting.
It is tonight, but sadly this is not going to be airing tonight, so it's not going to actually. But you are a supporter. Yeah, that's right. And the summer, I believe, is always slow for everybody in this industry. Sadly, I would love to get some variety stages up there in the summer, getting some people who are on the patio to kind of, instead of leave, crawl in, and
I'll
and
throw
watch.
This out there. I don't think the summer is that slow. I think I have shows all coming up all throughout July. I have shows at the Cadillac Lounge on Wednesday nights, and it'll be an incredible night starting at 8 p.m. going to like 1 a.m. with magic, music, dancing.
Oh, when's that starting? When's that starting? July?
It starts. I'm going to tell you exactly.
No. What? It starts in July on Wednesday. So this
July Wednesdays, and it's July 8th at 7:30.
But it's every Wednesday.
22nd.
Oh, it's every second. It's every second Wednesday.
It's every second, but also if you go to the first and the third Wednesdays in July to the Cadillac Lounge, you can see my two friends, Chris Mayhew and Chris Westfall, do their magic.
Okay, hold on. No, so it's a variety place. We're promoting another variety club. It's the Cadillac Lounge that supports our variety?
No, the Cadillac Lounge is a music venue, and they brought me on this summer as part of a magic initiative.
That's what I mean. No, they're supporting the variety initiative.
They're supporting, I guess it is. It's a variety. It's a magic and music.
I am that guy. I mean, I go up on stage with my guitar and I sing, and people just want me to disappear. I am exactly that.
Well, then you need to come out, because it's going to be, and it's a show it's different than, let's say, Magic Tonight. Because Magic Tonight is a different environment.
Right.
Magic Tonight, people come to see a magic show, but at the Cadillac Lounge, there are people who are going to come who don't know there's a magic show going on. So you're going to get to see some really fun moments, because, people are going to be drinking, people are going to be heckling, people are going to
See, this is the thing. See, I do the same thing. When I'm on stage, people don't know there's a comedy show going on. So that's why
they don't even know, the show is going on.
That's my show. Welcome to my show. You're at my show if you don't know the show's going on. That's for sure. What's wrong with this guy on stage with the light and the microphone? Something's wrong with him. Yes, I do enjoy that type of interaction, especially since you're allowed to be there to have some interaction with the crowd. That's actually what, at the end of the day, that's what they're looking for, things they're not getting in their own living room. And a reason why they would actually leave their house, perhaps. So baseball and yoga, I was thinking, how could we combine those two? And
first of all, basketball.
I said basketball.
Baseball. No, you said baseball.
Oh, you know what? Oh, I see.
Baseball is 4 hours of sitting. Basketball is 48 minutes of nonstop fun.
That's funny. You know what's funny though? Because I put b-ball. And I had to choose.
You're too cool for your own good.
Yeah, my shorthand's
You don't know your slang.
Yeah, my shorthand's cooler than me. So my shorthand knew, I did not. But b-ball is not basketball because it's 4 hours of sitting. Where basketball, as you're saying, is I don't watch it either. But I would throw a ball into a hoop. I'm pretty sure I could.
Oh, basketball. I look for life lessons everywhere, and basketball, you know, I played it when I was a kid, and I was a chubby, short, white Jewish kid, and I still am a chubby, short, Jewish, white kid. But when I played it as a kid, I hated the game. I hated every part of it, and my father coached the team just so he could get me to come out, and I hated it. And when I got older, I realized. And this is no matter what you do, kids. If your kids are still listening, if anybody's still listening to this podcast,
that's nice. If anyone is still listening,
if you're still here, if you haven't fallen asleep listening to my melodic voice,
let it sink in. All right.
The party is where you make it. If you go into a situation and you're like, "This is going to suck," I promise you, it will suck.
Right. That's true. Mindset's really important. That's right.
And that's it. And when I went into basketball, the next time when I was about 16 years old, and this is 8 years later, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try it again, but this time I'm going to have fun. And I did. And I made a little joke about baseball, and I'll bet you money if I went to a baseball game, maybe I'll go this week, and I tell myself it's going to be fun. I bet by the end of this week I'll go, oh man, I love baseball. And that's happened throughout my life, and it's what I try to do with my magic is I try to put people in a mindset, and I guess it's not airing tonight, but after this interview, I'll be hosting a show. And
again, not an interview. I got to be clear to everybody.
Sorry, this chat from your bedroom.
Chat, if you're listening to this, the meandering, I mean, I love his self-promotion. But if you're listening to this man just drivel on about how everything in life you can find some positive to, kids, which is what he's basically saying. But you
can.
He has is what he's saying. See, just like Kabbalah, he said he was Jewish. So for those who know Madonna, I know it exists as a thing. It's taking something that they say has some religious attributes, but you bring it into your life, and when you see it actually work as a piece of advice, at that moment it becomes truth because but it very specifically your truth. And that's the conversation that people who don't go to work and get paid to have conversations get to have, which you would have been as a professor. That's where you would have ended up, trying to get tenure with a pipe or not, with bubbles probably. There'd be bubbles in the pipe. And right? You know what I'm talking
about? So I'll share another lesson that you've learned and I've learned, and I think anyone over the age of 30
on stage or a sports. See, here's the thing: the sports references are going. You're wasting them. You're wasting them
way over your head. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Sports is no good.
I'm sorry.
No. Just sports are just. I'd rather be playing them than watching them. A guy who's making $30 million who can dribble a ball is not interesting me. It's not.
Okay, that's fair.
It's not part of my day. But a guy. And by the way, I can make cards disappear. And people are like, could you do that again? And when someone asks me to do it again, I don't, because that's when it won't work. So I do magic just online at bank. As I said, I do the flying the card as I get it about, maybe 20 feet away from me and coming back. I've been practicing, and I'm having fun with it because I love it because it's entertainment. It is core entertainment. And a friend of mine who we chatted with on this show, he said there's a place in Vegas. Was it Vegas? No, L.A. He's living in L.A. He said L.A. I think, called the Magic Castle. And you need to be a magician or know a magician to get in. Have you ever heard of this place?
Oh yeah, it's the Mecca of magic. It's in the 60s. A guy named Di Vernon, Canadian magician, maybe one of the greatest, if not the greatest magician who's ever lived, according to many people. In the 60s, he traveled, he made a pilgrimage and moved to the Magic Castle. He took up permanent residency, and I won't use any more. I will use actually another sports metaphor. He was the Michael Jordan of our industry. We all know Michael Jordan.
We love golf. Everyone loves golf. All right. Sorry.
He loves and I think Vernon liked golf too, actually.
Good. That's full circle.
He was such an influential, powerful figure that because he moved there, magicians from all over the world moved to California so they could study with him. And what you ended up getting was a period in history where some of the greatest minds in North America and from overseas were living all basically under one roof at the Magic Castle, doing magic, creating magic. A lot of our classic books were published around that time because you would just walk into the castle and there would be a legend and you could start doing some work. So,
okay, so have you been? Have you?
Never in my entire life. And
So Mecca, no Mecca.
I've been to San Francisco, which is just north of it. I've been to Vegas and San Diego, which is just south of it. I've traveled over it many times, but never been. And part of the reason I've never been to the Magic Castle is, like you said, it's a Mecca. And it's the same reason I've never gone to Rome. And it's because I'm an art major. And when I go to Rome, I want to spend like a year there and study. And I want to go to LA. And I'm actually planning on doing it at the end of this summer. And I want to spend I don't want to go there for a day. I want to spend a week at the Magic Castle. I want to perform at the Magic Castle.
And how are you going to record? How are you going to record this experience? Like, are you going to have your own podcast and just kind of invest the 5 cents in talking to your phone and give us all a play-by-play of the awe for which you're walking through day to day, like an audio journal?
Absolutely not, and I'll tell you why. And it is because you've made a joke about how you talk for a living. You don't have to work. What you do is such hard work to come up with constant content and to put that stuff up there. I've tried with blogs. I've tried with podcasts. The requirement to constantly put out quality content. I guess you don't necessarily put out quality because you have me on the show.
Boom.
To put on
again, magicians. There's a reason why I like magicians, because they know that they're there to get punched in the face for the comedy and for the sake of comedy. Now, I appreciate you saying that, but listen, you're doing some stuff with the positive energy and the things you've taken lefts and rights, and most people and it sounds like you're there for the sake of with me as well as the sake of the creativity. Just like The Princess Bride, it has everything. It is a movie that should be duplicated with someone else's creative juice. Like, I would love for your story to be more like The Princess Bride. So even though it could be real, let it all stem in fantasy land so you can then bring the magic to life. Because I'm a person from television and movies where they call it movie magic for a reason. Because you have that adventure. If you do anything on TV, if at home, you shouldn't believe it's true. I mean, it's a TV thing, right? So
right.
If you know that that's true, why not just up your game? And that's just as a producer and as someone who can, as you said, I don't know how the backwards he's going to use. I don't know how I'm going to light this lady's face on fire. I don't know how this is going to go this way. I just know it's bigger than this right now. And with all those thoughts, because your friends wrote that movie, which is would it be more of a documentary than it is a fiction piece? Yeah.
So I'll tell you what a very quick synopsis of sort of the film. It's the story of me and my friend Chris. And we go on a journey to learn one of magic's best kept secrets. And along the way, we meet magicians, we learn tricks. The viewer at home learns tricks along with us. And there's all sorts of crazy adventures. We have a mental card collector played by world famous magician Bill Abbott, who's trying to cut off our hands. We have guys throwing air conditioners at us. We have it's just like a crazy nonstop adventure. And the idea was that magic to me is not about sitting at home, reading a book or watching a video, though that is part of it. Magic to me is about meeting people and going on adventures and sharing ideas and seeing magic. And it's about all of that. And so what I wanted to do was, me and Chris, we wanted to create a movie where while you're at home, you are also taken on a magical adventure, learning tricks along with us. To me, if you watch that movie, you are part of that adventure. And if you go on Facebook, thousands of people have liked the video. We have had thousands of people buy the video all over the world, in Japan and Australia. And I get messages from people every single day still. It's been over a year since it came out, with people telling me they love the movie or asking questions or sharing ideas about tricks. And it's amazing to me because it makes me so happy when I go on YouTube and see that people have filmed themselves doing my magic and they're sharing it, either the way I released it or with their own spin. And I just think, wow, we're all taking this journey together. So if you love magic, contact me, shoot me a message, ben@bentrain.ca, or go to my website, bentrain.ca, or shoot me a message on Facebook, or come meet me one day at one of my shows, or come hang out with me and let's do magic together. Because get on the train, man. A train, it's moving forward, and you either ride it or you stay at the station and get left behind. But jump on right now, grab on with both hands, and come along. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
Okay, to answer your question.
Yes?
Yeah, I think that I get inspiration from everywhere. I travel the world because, first of all, it's something I've always wanted to do is travel, and magic lets me do it. So I was not too long ago in Scotland, where I've always wanted to visit. I was in London, UK. I got to go to Amsterdam. Tons of stories from all those places, most not appropriate for your children.
Nice.
But you know, I go to museums in every city I go to. I try to go to a cool restaurant, like not a franchise, but somewhere interesting and different in every city. I try to meet up with locals in every city. I just try to.
All right. Okay, so you're also the traveling guy who likes to bring it home, which is, I think, if it's not one of the 5 entertainers, no, it's an entertainer, it's a magician. The guy who's like traveling with the rest of them. He is like the, he's the wizard, I guess. The wizard's the traveling. Oh, he's probably to a king as well. Anyway, my kid's here now with his deck of cards. I love that you have inspiration, and I love that you're bringing variety alive and keeping it alive through the summer here in Southern Ontario. So if you have any moments, we have our list of the places you can check out, and it will be on our site. All right, that's our guy. So what do we want to say? We love
Magic.
All right, that's it, guys. Yes, I signed my soul on the dotted line.